Hey, good everybody. This is E. Marcel Patu, and welcome to another edition of the Sports Inquirer Show. We're broadcasting live on August 26th, 2020. On today's broadcast, we're going to discuss Atlanta United's upcoming matchup against Inter Miami and Lionel Messi's potential departure from Barcelona and the original free kick. We'll delve into the NBA playoffs, recap the contest from the previous night, and some other news and notes as far as hirings and firings in different front offices. And then finally, in the miscellaneous department, we may break down some baseball, hockey, tennis, and everything in between. But as always, you want to follow everything that we're doing, head to the mothership, thesportsinquirer.net, premier site for news and notes in the world of sports. That's a great way to keep track of everything that we're doing. You can also head to our social media platforms, starting with Twitter and Instagram. Just search Sports Inquirer, that's all one word. You do that, and that'll be a, once again, great way to track everything that we're doing. We're doing tweeting during NHL and NBA playoff contests, and we'll just continue to and Atlanta United things as well. Yeah, just a lot going on. So make sure you go to those platforms and check us out. You also have two Facebook pages, starting with The Sports Inquirer and then Sports Inquirer. That's all one word. So go to either one of those, same deal, and we can keep it moving. And finally, if you want to keep up with all of our podcasts, from this one that you're listening to now, the Sports Inquirer Show, to Verbal Submission, which is our mixed martial arts / professional wrestling podcast, and some other ones you may have going on over the next few weeks, make sure you go to YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and iTunes. Search any one of those, and you will see our show, and that'll be a great way to keep track of all the things that are going on. How are we doing here in Atlanta, Georgia? We're keeping it moving and grooving, as always. It's interesting. I'm actually catching up on some of the Republican National Convention. We don't get political here and all that stuff. We don't go there, but it is a vacuum of eyeballs, or a vacuum of television viewing. Just see all the stuff going on there, and whether side you're on or if you don't have a side, it's something that every 4 years you do have to keep an eye on and check out what's going on. I will say that it is a little disappointing in a way that, once again, I think it was Eric Trump, the son of President Trump, once again mentioned the disrespecting of the flag by the players kneeling during the national anthem. I will go there in this regard. It's just disappointing that, once again, sports and politics are just finding their ways, weaving together. I know that I'll say inconvenient truth, or it's the reality of the way things are, but you get frustrated where you're watching one thing and you hear about the other. If I'm watching the convention, I don't want to hear about the players kneeling. If I'm watching a sports broadcast, I don't want to hear about President Trump. It just goes both ways, and it's frustrating to see that. But I mean, that's not I don't think necessarily a negative, but you just see that stuff and you have to acknowledge it. And I said that might hopefully not be the last politically related statement I'll have on the show. But things are going well. Went to Costco yesterday. That was interesting. I haven't been to Costco in years. I took the family there, or my mother needed a ride there to do some shopping. Big store, lots of goods. I didn't realize all the electronics they have there. I got a new laptop. I could have gone to Costco and got. Actually, I'm recording off of this laptop now, and this worked out very well so far. A lot of storage space. It's an older laptop. You could tell it, and it was one of the cheaper models, but it's very, very good for me, and I've enjoyed using it. But yeah, I went and saw big TVs and all this other stuff. I was like, I need to come back here and set some stuff up and make it happen. But that was interesting. I went to the gym. It's interesting as well. It's starting to see Georgia open up a little bit more. I don't know where it is, what's going on in your neck of the woods, as the saying goes. But I've been going to the gym lately, and that's been fun. Just getting the body healthy, trying to get it right. I used to walk around the neighborhood, and I still enjoy doing that, and I still might start doing that more in the future. it was good to see, when you got to see everyone in the neighborhood, got to see everyone's cars and lawns and all of that, because I live in a development and you're so used to just driving home after, or driving to and from your house and whatever you're doing. But the great part about the walking in the neighborhood is that you actually get to see other people and interact and just wait. You're not too much because social distancing, but you still were able to at least wave hello and just see different faces. So I did enjoy that part of it. But once again, being in Atlanta, it gets so hot so early. If I don't get that walk in by 7 or 8 a.m., it's not happening. Or I didn't have to wait until the end of the day. And by the end of the day, I got ball games on, especially this time of year. I got playoffs. You have baseball. You have so much going on. It's like, man, I don't want to miss a ball game. So you end up in a situation. But I'm able to go. A lot of times, I'm able to go to the gym between 12 and 1 o'clock. Well, between 12 and 2 p.m. In between games starting, and before all the games start up. So that's a good way to check on everything that's going on. And speaking of teams and people that have to adjust their schedule, that includes Atlanta United. And let's get to the original free kick portion of our show. The Five Stripes will visit expansion franchise Inter Miami today on August 26th. Since joining MLS in 2017, Atlanta is 5-1-1 against expansion franchises, and they've outscored them 21-5. And that includes their win over Nashville SC 2-0 on Saturday night at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Pity Martinez had 2 goals for a brace, and he's one of 8 players in club history to record a brace in the contest. If a player scores a brace, which is scoring 2 goals in the contest, Atlanta is 24-1-3 in those matches. So it was a very dominant performance by Atlanta overall. Here's Brooks Lennon discussing the victory for Atlanta United against Nashville.
To get back to playing at Mercedes-Benz and especially getting a win. Obviously, we didn't have the best results in Orlando, so coming back here and winning our first game at home, definitely helped a lot in terms of trying to build some momentum going into these next, 5 games. I thought defensively, I thought we were always compact and in a pretty good shape. I don't think they really broke us down, when we were in our block too much. And we had, all 11 guys behind the ball working hard. So that was, nice to see. And in terms of offensively, I thought we were very patient with the ball. We do need to, fix a couple, just silly giveaways at times, but I thought we were patient with the ball and, able to create some opportunities.
And that was Brooks Lennon discussing the victory over Nashville. Brad Guzan recorded his 37th MLS clean sheet with the victory, and he's tied for the league lead of that statistic since the start of 2017. Anton Walks had a strong performance in the backfield in the victory, or as a defender. He had a team-high 71 touches and 64 passes attempted in the Nashville win. Here is interim manager Stephen Glass discussing Anton Walks and his impact on the contest.
As far as I've seen so far, he's trained really, really well. He got into good condition after, I'm not saying he wasn't in good condition before, but since we've been in, he's been in good condition the last 3-4 weeks that we've been working. And he deserves his place in the team at the moment. So his performance on Saturday was fantastic. Really tough group of players to play against. They're quick on the break. They're quite aggressive when they transition forward, and he handled everything that was thrown at him. I think he's unfortunate to give away a foul for the one that he actually gets yellow carded for as well. But he plays the rest of the game sitting on the yellow card as well, which for a centre half is not easy.
We also discussed with Anton the deal of playing as a left side defender as a right-footed player. We saw Atlanta go with kind of a 3-4-3 formation, and that included Walks, who didn't play consistently under previous manager Frank DeBoer, not only starting, but playing on that side of the field. So we talked with Anton about what the adjustment was for him doing that.
It's just something where, it's how much time I got to invest into it now as well to help myself improve. And it's a challenge, but, it's something I'm looking forward to. It is a lot different because naturally your body will tell you to open up the other way and I've been doing that for the last few years where, the ball comes in and instinctively I know where my first touch will take me. So it's just all about repetition right now and just making sure I can improve. And, something I'm willing to do. And if I can do that, it definitely helps us playing out from the back.
And that was Anton discussing the deal of playing on a kind of on the side of the field opposite of his strong foot. He adjusted very well and played well there. Stephen Glass, he became the 15th MLS interim head coach to win his first match in charge. And he's also, let's talk, he discussed win first contest as Atlanta United interim head coach. I always get confused by that. I say manager. I guess in the United States we say head coach, but I'm kind of not old school, but I'm a stickler for that. Just like we have, they'll say games, and I say a soccer match. I don't say soccer games. I'm weird like that. And like volleyball, that's another one I get on, because in volleyball they have sets, and if you win a set, you win a game. Or if you win a point, it's like you win the game. So if you say they won the game, what do you say that's not accurate? It's supposed to be it's the match. If you win the overall match, you win 3 sets and you win the match. You didn't win the game. The game is like the little things that you do. Anyway, just a little quick tangent there. But I call him the manager, but I'm going over my notes that I had interim head coach. But he's the manager of the team. Let's hear from Coach Glass about him getting his first victory with the team.
We've been reviewing film since Saturday night. We came back in Saturday night as a staff, started talking about Miami, started reviewing the game, planning for the next one. I think the bravery to play out the back was there. You could see that there was a little bit of rust. There was periods in the games where we were fantastic at it. There were periods in the game where we could be a little bit better. But I think some of that will happen and come naturally. We've not had pre-season type games, so the difficulty that throws up is you've not had real competitive nature games. It's different when you're training here to replicate that. As much as we can, we do, but when there's something on the line, it feels a little bit different. So that side of things was good to see that there's work to be done, good to see we can actually do it. And then in terms of the work rate, it was fantastic. I think we'll get fitter, we'll get stronger, we'll get able to go at that intensity for longer periods in games, and hopefully control the game a lot more than we did at the weekend.
All right, now Stephen Glass discussing getting the first win for Atlanta United. Atlanta enters tonight's contest against Miami ranked 3rd in MLS in passing accuracy and 4th in possession. And they did a very good job. They'll have several matches this year, including that 1-0 loss to FC Cincinnati, where they did not even lead possession, and passing was not very strong, which is counter to what Atlanta United traditionally has done. So they did a very good job against Nashville, improving in that regard. Inter Miami is coming off its first victory in club history. They defeated Orlando City on August 22nd. Julian Carranza, he had 2 goals. And Rodolfo Pizarro, he had his 3rd goal of the season in the victory. Here is Coach Glass discussing the Miami team and challenges they may present.
Going from the Saturday to Wednesday is slightly better than the Wednesday to Saturday turnaround. So we've got that extra day in the bank, if you like. So able to look after the boys today, yesterday. Don't push them too hard. We'll get some of the tactical work into them tomorrow. And then you fly down on the day. But it's something, we're flying down and you get a chance to rest up in the afternoon. So it's not something that I see is going to be too much of an issue. We felt Nashville came in here and showed that you can still play with an energy. So I think just the general belief and the taking a step forward from the result on Saturday night as well, that we'll take that into the game on Wednesday night, and we'll take that belief and put the travel behind us once we're there. Once you're on the pitch, nobody cares that you travelled 2 days ago or on the day. They're going to judge what they see on the park, and that's what we're going to be judged on, and we're ready for that challenge.
And now Stephen Glass discussing the contest itself. And I talked about adjustments a few minutes ago. One thing that they have to do, they are probably in the air right now, or they should have landed in Miami by the time you hear this show today, if you hear it on August 26th. They are traveling the day of the contest. Traditionally, for a lot of teams, and it makes common sense, if you're playing a game, say today, they're playing a Wednesday game, you fly out the day before, Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon, You fly into the town that you're playing in, or drive if it's close enough. You land and you get there Tuesday night, and you sleep at the hotel or your lodging situation, and you wake up that Wednesday morning in the city that you're playing the match at, and you get your rest, do your usual stuff, and then you play that Wednesday afternoon or evening. Well, with this current situation right now going on with the coronavirus and things going on like that, there are travel restrictions or travel adjustments. So now all these teams are flying in or going into the city the day of the contest, and that's why you've seen the adjusted schedule for the time being, where you're kind of in these blocks. So Atlanta is in a block with Nashville, Orlando, and Miami, closer cities. Like they're not heading out to Vancouver or Seattle or even New York for matches, so that they can do this the same day travel. Now the Miami to Atlanta flight's a few hours, and I say this joke all the time, but it's true because I've been there. They're not in the middle seat of a Southwest flight. They can get a good rest or good sleep on the plane and all that stuff. So they're not lounging, or they're not in a bad way, but still is an adjustment for teams. And we talked with Coach Glass, or Manager Glass, about flying into Miami the day of the contest.
Just like you said, it's important to make sure that we're doing everything right, to be prepared physically for these games. Obviously, it's new for us to fly in the same day as the game. That's definitely something I've never done before. And so it's just taking care of your body, staying hydrated, doing things on the plane that you can, do to help your body, whether it's rolling out or whatever it may be. And just taking care of your body as much as possible, and hopefully we'll be ready for Wednesday. We have a hotel sorted for us, so I think we're flying in and then going directly to the hotel to relax for a couple of hours before have our pregame meal there before we head to the stadium.
And that was Stephen Glass discussing flying into Miami the day of the contest. We all talked with Lennon about that. Here are his thoughts on the unique situation that the team is in right now. All right, and that was Briggs Lennon discussing the team traveling to Miami. We'll have a recap of that contest on our next show. And other news, we'll go to Europe right now. Let's transition there. Bayern Munich won the Champions League for another time in their history. Got a 1-0 victory over PSG. It's a unique situation as well. You weren't able to get homes and aways once you got down to the quarters and the semis. You just had to deal with the situation with they actually did like a bubble. We've seen the bubble within Orlando with the NBA and then the hubs in the NHL in Edmonton and Toronto. The the UEFA Champions League did the same thing. They went to Portugal, went to Lisbon. And it was odd because these are the biggest matches of the season, and you're very excited about it. And you had a unique situation where Lyon was in the semis, and RB Leipzig, the German team, was in there. They haven't made it that far, those franchises, in a long time. So it's been fun to have those matches on German and French soil. But like I said, that's the scenario that we're in right now. But Bayern Munich, they win the title. They truly are one of the major powers in the world. Now they do get, I don't say they catch a break, but because they play in Bundesliga, and they've lapped the competition so much, they've won it, I think, for 9 consecutive. I don't know if it's 9 consecutive years. It's been they've won the past few years in a row. I think Juventus has the one that's like 9 consecutive seasons of winning their domestic league, which is Serie A in Italy. But I know you have Leipzig's made a run the past few years. You have Borussia Dortmund, of course, which is a strong squad. But it's really Bayern's league to win every season. So they really put a lot of emphasis on winning the European Championship, and for them to achieve that was very good. You look at PSG, they brought in so much talent. Mbappe from Monaco, obviously Neymar, the world's richest player or most expensive player, bringing him in from Barcelona. This was their time to win a European championship. They have lapped Serie A as well. And we'll get to Messi in a moment and the impact his potential move can have. But you're looking at these leagues right now where I can pretty much say who's going to win the championship. And as I said, in Italy, it's going to be Juventus. I know Inter Milan has made some headway, and they're trying to make a run. They've brought in some players. We mentioned Germany. It's been Bayern Munich's league for the past few years. Same with PSG in France. If you're in these leagues, and then Spain, it does really come down to three teams usually. We know the two Madrid squads, Atletico and Real and Barcelona. Well, so when you're those type of franchises, the domestic championship is nice, and you want to win that. You want to win your domestic cup as well, whether it's the Copa del Rey in Spain or the FA championship in England or in the English Premier League. So when you have those type of leagues, it really comes down to what you do in Europe. And PSG, I said they have all this, they have star power all over that lineup, but to not be able to close out the championship is a disappointing season for them. So we'll see what happens with that and where the team goes. And speaking of where teams are going to go and what moves can be made, Lionel Messi has made it known publicly to Barcelona that he would like to move. We compared him to Tom Brady in our last show, and I think the comparison is still accurate today. You look at a guy who would, similar to Brady, someone argues the best quarterback of all time. Someone argued that Messi is the greatest player of all time. I say argue. We don't send me to Maradonas and Pele's and Corpes. Like I get all that, but for argument's sake, of this generation, it's been him and Cristiano Ronaldo as the most dominant, best players in the world over the past 10 to 15 years. We can all agree on that part of it. So you have a guy who's been in Barcelona ever since he was a child, literally. The guy went there when he was the equivalent of a middle schooler or a high schooler, similar to Tom Brady, where he was drafted out of Michigan to the Patriots. He's only known one way, and now Brady's had the same head coach and same ownership the whole time that he was in New England. Kind of similar to Messi in Barcelona. They've had kind of the same ownership and kind of the same structure. I mean, they've been and coaching. There's been more coaching changes, but the point is, you have these guys who have spent their entire playing careers within one organization, have achieved everything you possibly can at those franchises. As far as Messi's won European titles, he's won everything in Spain domestically that you possibly can. But I think you look at those two players and they want a change. I think personally, you get burnt out in one city. When we know what Brady, with Belichick, and that whole deal, he played there 20 years and had so much success. But you want to try something different. The relationship has just you spend so much time in one place, things happen. Well, Barcelona is more of an issue of inconsistent ownership, not quality coaching. Really, since Pep Guardiola left them, they've not had a consistent head or a guy you would consider a top 3 or 4 manager in the world, which you would think would correlate with being in Barcelona. They've had kind of average guys there, and then even more recently, it's another retread. So he's looking at all this stuff, and he's at the stage of his career where it's all about champ. He's going to get his money. He's made more money than he can possibly spend. He's the greatest player in Barcelona history. Once again, there have been so many guys that have come through there, but he's the greatest one of all time. So his mark is there. What's next for him? What's the next challenge? And I think he looks at the landscape of the way the European system is going, and he sees some interesting options out there for him. And therefore, the leave could take place. Now, the problem with his deal, it's not a problem, but something has to be resolved. He has I think, literally $100 million buyout clause that the team that takes him would have to pay. Now, they can negotiate some things down, and then Barcelona could say that he was supposed to tell the team, I think in June, if he intended to opt out of his contract. However, we had all the stuff going on in the world. June would have been the end of the season for Barcelona. But since everything's been pushed back, and now their season is over, the 2019-2020 campaign, now Messi's making this request, but the team's gonna say, well, he should have made it back in June. But it's like, wait up, the season was still playing. We didn't know what was going on. So it's a lot of lawyering, and his agents and all that, they'll have to figure it out. But what is his market? It's an interesting market. You gotta think that Manchester City would be the premier choice. And I've heard people say, why would he want to play in Manchester? It's cold and all this other stuff. Bull crap. He'll be okay. Whenever you hear all these players, this relates to the United States as well, they'll say, why would a guy play in insert small city here or small market? They'll be okay. If they get paid, they're going to have the biggest house. Their children go to the best schools. Their family, a partner, wife, husband, whatever, they'll be in a very good financial and comfortable situation. They'll be okay. They don't play all year. Now, soccer, they do have a really long schedule, but he'll have plenty of time to go back to Argentina or go, if he has in Spain, I'm sure he's has family and from friends there. If he needs to do that, he'll be okay. And the weather's he'll be okay if he plays in Manchester. Manchester United has been a destination, and Manchester City now for the past 10 years. Top elite players will go there. Players want to go where they can get paid and where they can win. And Manchester City provides that for him. And furthermore, you have the Pep Guardiola relationship. Pep coached him at Barcelona. They have a kinship there. It's very obvious. And if you look on the field, Messi, any team will find a way to get him on the field. But there is a need in the midfield for a player like Messi to be there on the field. We just saw David Silva. He has moved on from the team, and he could literally slot in that same type of position for Manchester City. United would be intriguing. They play a very fast-paced style, which would be fun, and they have the funds that could be able to afford a Messi, and that's what we have to look at as well. Can the team afford him? And the two Manchester teams will be in there. If you gotta figure that PSG will be intriguing, especially if he could reunite with Neymar. They had a really good relationship. PSG is going for broke. I mean, they have so much money, and they'll throw anything to get him there. I've heard Inter Milan. That would be intriguing, him playing in Italy. And Milan does have the funds and to deal with that. And you'd also have the fun deal of him playing in the same league again as Cristiano Ronaldo, who is at Juventus. So that rivalry can get started up again. And that would add a nice boost to Italy, which has become kind of a forgotten international league as far as elite leagues go. We talk about the EPL. I think they have the most talent overall. They get the most attention, and they have a lot of advantages. It's England, which has a strong they have a great TV contract. English is a universal language, so that's the advantage there. We talk about Spain and how they do. Germany, we see a lot of them. But Italy is the one that, when I started following football in the early to mid-90s, Italy was the spot to go. That's where you saw the Milan teams, AC or Inter, Juventus. Those were the teams they were the equivalent of the Manchesters and the Liverpools now. If you played on an international level, or if you were an elite player, you wanted to play in Italy. And economics and other issues with the Italian league have hindered. They've done some things to themselves. But seeing Messi in that league, in Serie A, would be of intrigue and interest. Bayern Munich, I mean, I don't think he's going to go to Munich, but sure, I mean, they're a major team as well. He's not going to go to the United States. We just talked about Inter Miami. I know we released a video when Inter Miami was announced as a franchise with David Beckham having ownership, and he made a joke, maybe you'll see me in America. It's not going to happen, not at this stage of his career. If anything, I think he may be interested. I won't say never. I mean, because you never know. Anything can happen. But I think at this stage of his career, he's not going to go to Major League Soccer. That's not a knock against MLS. We cover him. We love MLS. But he's not going to do that at this point of his career. But it's very intriguing to see this happen. It's very, very rare. It's similar to LeBron James when he became a free agent the first time after, in Cleveland, and he ultimately signed with Miami. We had all the intrigue, all the teams he could sign for. Would he go to Dallas, the Knicks, the Lakers, and we remember all that stuff that went on. It's a similar deal with Lionel Messi. Now he's still in the prime of his career. It's not like how LeBron, when he left Cleveland, where you knew you had about, well, LeBron's a freak. I mean, he's actually still playing at a high level in year 17 or 18, whatever year he's in now. But when he first left the Cavs to go to Miami, you knew that you'd have 4 or 5 years of the best player in the NBA. And that's what Miami got for the most part. Messi may not have 5-6 years of being the best player in the world, but those first 2 or 3 years are going to be elite. And if you sign him, you pretty much not only guarantee outside of if he stays with Barcelona, Real and Atletico are going to be in his way. If he signs with, say, a Manchester City, you have to consider them a favorite to win the EPL, even with Liverpool and all of their greatness over the past 12 months. If he goes to Milan, you'd have to put them right there with Juventus as a contender. And also, you put yourself as a major contender in Europe. And finally, you sign that guy, you get so much money and attention from the endorsements to marketing. It is going to be, you get to sign, I said, short list top 6-7 player in history of the world, in history of the entire sport, and you get to sign him, and he's going to play, he's going to be ready. That's a major deal. So we'll be following that over the next few weeks and everything that's going on. Let's transition to the Backdoor Cut portion of our broadcast and discuss the NBA. And we're starting to see the cream rise to the top as far as the series go. We discussed at the start of the playoffs, if we don't see an NBA final with the Milwaukee Bucks versus one of the Los Angeles teams, whether it's the Lakers or the Clippers, that would be very surprising. And we're starting to see that right now. Milwaukee has already won their first round series. They're moving on. They're waiting to face the winner of, actually, they're going to face Miami, because Miami was, since we did our last broadcast, Miami defeated Indiana 99-87 in Game 4 of their series to get a sweep. So Miami is going to face the Bucks. And so that's really flowing the way that you're looking at. And if in the West, we know that the Lakers had an interesting matchup against the Trailblazers, and even the Clippers had an interesting matchup against the Mavs. The Dallas and Portland has won a game in the series, made things interesting. But if you look at the last two contests, the Lakers defeated Portland 135-115 in Game 4 of the series, take a 3-1 lead overall. And now tonight, Damian Lillard's not going to play. He has an ankle injury. Portland's already shorthanded. The Lakers are going to win tonight and keep it rolling. And you look at the Clippers, scored 154 points last night in a win over the Dallas Mavs. Look, we talked about Luka, and he's been brilliant this entire series. But without Porzingis, and you could tell that the Mavs are wearing down. The Clippers are going to close that series out in the next contest. I think even if Porzingis plays, you saw the Clippers play maybe the best game of their season. Came out aggressive. We talked about how they've been kind of sleepwalking through the regular season and into the postseason. You saw none of that last night. Paul George, 35 points in 25 minutes. Kawhi Leonard had 32 points in the victory along with 7 rebounds. Montrezl Harrell, 19 points, 11 rebounds off the bench for a double-double. They look like a squad, the Clippers, that are ready to make a run for a championship. So that was not surprising at all there. And the rest of the series, you have some fun ones. Utah and Denver, has been a fun series. The Nuggets were able to stave off elimination and defeat the Jazz 117-107 last night on August 25th. Utah still leads the series 3-2. So we'll see what happens there. You have Oklahoma City is now tied with the Rockets, and their series is tied 2-2. So that's a fun series to check out. But as I've said, if we don't see the Bucks against one of the Los Angeles teams, that would be a very surprising scenario and situation. The Philadelphia 76ers have fired Brent Brown as head coach. Not a surprise there. I'll say it again. That franchise, that rebuild process has not been successful. They have not even been to a conference finals. They've had so many high draft picks. Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Markelle Fultz, Daryl Sachik, Nerlens Noel. They've drafted all of these people, and what has it resulted in? Inconsistent play. I think Brett Brown deserves some of the blame. He was there through the whole entire rebuild. He was able to get them into become a postseason team. Respect for that. But to be to get to the next level as a championship coach, he's not there. He's not that guy. But you got to hold the players ultimately accountable for this. And I know Ben Simmons was injured. He didn't play in the playoffs. He had the knee injury, but he has not developed He's not developed a shot. Not even a mid-range game. We saw Kawhi Leonard have a brilliant game yesterday, just hitting all mid-range shots. Hit a few three-pointers, but was all about the mid-range. Ben Simmons has not been able to even do that. He's a problem. Joel Embiid, he talks a lot. The guy may be the most talented center in the NBA. But he's out of shape often. He can't stay on the court consistently, especially the early part of his career. So you can't rely on him to give you a full, consistent effort on the court. And Josh Richardson, who was just traded to the team the past few months, an outsider came into the organization, and he said that there's a lack of accountability in the franchise. That's a pretty rough statement for an outsider to make coming into the team. You add all that together, you have another early exit in the postseason. What happens for them from here? I don't know, but they could hire Mark Jackson. I know Charles Barkley suggested Maurice Cheeks, a guy who's been there before. Was a legendary player for them. They could hire all that stuff. The same thing with the Knicks. So we talk about when they hired Tom Thibodeau. You can have a clone of Red Auerbach, Phil Jackson, Greg Popovich, Pat Riley, Red Holtzman, put every other elite coach in history of the game. You could clone them all together, but if the players can't play and aren't dedicated and talented, it's not going to work out. So that's where Philadelphia has to go from there. All right, thanks for listening to today's show and listening to our broadcast. We'll be back very, very soon for you. But as always, want to follow everything that we're doing, head to the mothership, to sportsinquirer.net. Go to our social media platforms, such as Twitter and Instagram. Search Sports Inquirer. That's all one word. And finally, subscribe to us on our different audio platforms, such as YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Podcast, and iTunes. Until next time, good fight, good night.